Welcome. We're still in the season of Easter, but let's talk a bit about our Earth. Excuse me. Nature's gift to our planet are the millions of species that we know and love, and many more that remain to be discovered. Unfortunately, human beings have irrevocably upset the balance of nature, and as a result, the world is facing the greatest rate of extinction since we lost the dinosaurs more than 60 million years ago. Yeah, how is that possible? But unlike the fate of the dinosaurs, the rapid extinction of species in our world today is the result of human activity. This year, the theme for Earth Day 2019, titled Project Protect Our Species, and this event is celebrated across the country on April the 22nd, across the world rather, on April the 22nd.
That's on Monday.
On Monday. So we're talking Earth, the environment. And we have two environment people here to help us break it down. Dr. Paul Abolo, environmental strategist, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And Dr. Joseph Onoja, technical director of the Nigeria Conservation Foundation, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Are these evangelists or
these ones are popes.
Environmental
Evangelists for the environment.
Ambassadors. I will not add the priests. No. Let's stay with the strategists and ambassadors.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on this day, it's a day of political action and civic participation. People march, sign petitions, meet with their elected officials, plant trees, clean up their towns and roads. Corporations and governments use it to make pledges and announce sustainability measures and all of that. So let me start with Dr. Abolo. Something happened in the course of, I think, this month or last month. A state like Bayelsa did Rise for Bayelsa. Something about paying attention to the oil spillage and what the people are doing and how the government is helping to solve all of that. They, I think, call that starting ahead of time. Now, that is from Bayelsa. But what else do you see happening? Is it just enough to go ahead and say you're celebrating World Earth Day every year?
It's a lot. It's beyond that, but it's a starting point. If you look at the Earth Day, for example, how did it get started? This was in 1970 by a senator who saw that there was an anti-war movement by the students, and he realized that he could leverage on that to talk environment. So since then, see what has become today. Over 1 million people, a billion people worldwide are engaged. Over 190 countries are involved. So it's a good starting point, and we must encourage that, and we must reset that always to create awareness at all levels, including with our children, like I was discussing with Dr. Noja before we came in here. We need to create awareness with the children. We need to create awareness with the indigenous people. We need to infuse climate change and environmental sustainability in the culture, in the education, in the economy. So it's a good starting point. What Bayelsa State did was absolutely nice, but we will encourage more states to get involved. I think FCT is trying to do something spectacular with tree planting for the Earth Day. So we'll encourage the states, and we'll also encourage the private sector to be involved. We encourage channels to do something too, like already.
Are you aware of any plans in Lagos State for Monday?
And I'm not aware, but I'm sure Lagos State is one of the states that's in the forefront of environment. I'm sure I can tell you that Lagos State has planned something.
Okay. Dr. Onoja, your foundation, the NCF, has at one time, or maybe one of the things that you say you're doing is to encourage the reforestation of Nigeria. Absolutely. I think that's like your forte.
Yeah.
But does that also include the swamps? Does that also include the areas of oil exploration and all of that? Because scientifically proven, the swamps help to suck in, reconvert the oil spills back into so that the waters are cleaned up. It doesn't look like it's working.
Well, when we talk about forests, we have also the mangrove forests, and that's where the swamp comes in. And as it is now, the mangrove forest is highly impacted from all of these activities that are going on. Apart from the fact of the legal mining activities, there are also the illegal mining activities. and also even trying to curb the illegal mining activities, there are more harm that is being done, that are being done, than even the harm of the illegal mining itself. Because by the time you confiscate all of these illegal crude and so on, you start busting them and they go into the canal. That is even as another form of oil spillage, and we're even compounding the whole thing. So, but to answer your question directly, it is important for us to know that whatever damage has been done, it has to take time for these things to come, because the normal flow, the normal thing has already been disrupted. So whatever efforts that we're trying to do now, we're just coming from behind. And that effort is not even strong enough yet. And that's why we're trying to galvanize as much effort as we can from private sector, from government, from individuals, to ensure that together we are able to reforest Nigeria, including the swamps, including restoring the mangrove forest. And what we have with the mangrove forest, apart from what you stated, it also helped cushioning the effect of coastal erosion. And coastal erosion is something that is happening across the over 800 kilometers of the Nigerian coastline. If you go, I mean, we've talked about it before. If you start from all the way from Lagos down to Cross River, you find areas of coastal erosion. You go to Lekki, you go to Ayetoro area in Ondo State and other places, coastal erosion. And it started by the deforestation, that because it's our frontline defense, but we are deforested. So apart from what it does in the terms of the oil spillage, we have all of these things. So we have to put everything together to be able to look at the importance of these swamp forests, this mangrove forest. But by the time we're intervening, people know the importance of this.
But how is that working out, especially considering the fact that a lot of the people that live around these areas, all they think about is survival. So they have to cut down the trees to burn, for firewood. They have to cut down trees to farm. And sometimes the farming activities are also detrimental to the environment. So awareness, how's that working out?
Yes, the awareness has to be, we are trying our best to create the awareness. Awareness is very important. But again, we have to tell people, it's about survival today against survival always, in perpetuity. Because we want a situation whereby we as adults will be able to survive, but not only survive, but also leave the environment for our children to come and survive. So if we want to just focus on the survival today, what will happen to our children? And that is where, there are a lot of awareness that is going on how we can change the mode that we do things. So that instead of cutting down a whole expanse of land in terms of farming, can you inculcate your crops even with the trees still standing? Agroforestry. So that's the shift that we are also trying to introduce. Yeah, we recognize the fact that we cannot just stop people from doing what they are used to doing, but also want to inculcate in such a way that it will be done sustainably. It will be done with the environment in mind. Because I continue to say that when we talk about environmental protection, it's not actually environmental protection. It's actually human protection. Because the environment will always protect itself. But the problem is that when the environment wants to protect itself, man will be at the receiving end. Yeah, man will be at the receiving end. For instance, if there is flooding, the environment is adjusting.
Yes.
So the environment is not being destroyed. It's just adjusting. But who, we are the ones who are at the receiving end. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to say is that let us live in harmony with the environment so that the environment doesn't have a backlash on us. Because if it does have a backlash, I mean, we see some of these places.
Dr. Abolo, okay, let me bring in the Earth Day now.
Yes.
It's happening this year. It happened last year. It happens every year. We also have Meet, the UN Climate Summit. We have all sorts of summits happening everywhere. They've been considered intellectual meets, just talk rooms. People just gather and talk. They sign documents, like what will happen tomorrow on Monday. There will be signing of documents, there will be marching. At the end of the day, it's back to the same status quo. Refuse is not properly disposed or managed effectively. All sorts of carbon emissions are happening every day. Even the emission checks in this country are not where they should be. So how do we begin to get more traction, so to speak? I asked him about getting the people involved, getting the people to own it. So when he talked about the people owning it, are the politicians owning it, or is it just rhetoric for them?
Thank you very much. You know, you touch on so many things, so we're going to narrow it down. If you're not careful, you get caught up in the process. And you sign the papers, you do the campaigns, and it becomes an activity. But the problem is that it has to be an actionable initiative. So when we develop initiatives in this part of the world, they are not actionable. And when I look at a project, I just run through the project. The next thing I say, what are the next steps? After this event, what are the things that are supposed to happen? So we need to be able to interrogate every activity, every Earth Day activity, every World Environment Day activity, every activity that we have that focuses on environmental and social sustainability, and say, what are the next steps? Except you have the next steps and what you need to do, and you look at the outcomes, you're just wasting time. You're just having fun, like you said. So I will encourage every initiative out there that's going to celebrate the Earth Day, every program, whatsoever it is, go to the bottom and ask for the next steps. And then when you get the next steps, go a little bit further and say, what are the expected outcomes? Or what are the deliverables? Mm-hmm. So once you get into that, then you begin to see that the events become productive and not just an event. So come the Earth Day on Monday, we are looking at protecting our species. Now, when you develop an event or a program for that day, what species are you targeting to protect? What catchment areas are you going to focus your program upon? Like we looked at the turtle, sea turtles, and we looked at how the villagers catch the sea turtles, and they forget that the sea turtles are actually their friends because they help to manage the ecosystem to preserve the fish.
No, sorry, they catch them and do what with them?
Sell them because they need money.
So who's buying them and what are they using them for?
We'll tell you about that.
We'll talk about that later.
Welcome back. You were going to answer a question about the turtles. Aleo asked you what happened to the turtles.
Who's buying them? And what are they doing with them?
Well, they buy them for food, and they buy them for all kinds of fetish stuff.
So turtles are delicacies, right? I don't think I've seen turtle on any menu in any restaurant.
You wouldn't see it in the restaurant, but
except maybe in China, of course, because
yes,
we hear the Chinese eat everything.
Absolutely, so they sell them. One, they sell them because they need to get the money. Two, because they don't understand. They don't understand the cycle, the importance of the sea turtle. Especially these are fishermen. Mm-hmm. So if they do, they wouldn't sell them. They will understand that the sea turtles are actually the disseminator for the jellyfish. And the jellyfish is one of the greatest harm to the fish that they catch. So, but they don't get it. They get it and they want to sell it. So now we need to take this awareness.
The jellyfish harms the fish.
Yes, harms the fish. Feeds on the fish. The turtle
feeds on the jellyfish.
Oh.
So the turtle is actually the friend.
The chain.
To the fisherman. Mm. But the fisherman does not understand it. So you need to take this back to the fisherman and create that knowledge upgrade. The fisherman needs to understand. Then on the general level, when you design a program, an initiative for the community, you need to get the community buy-in. You need to do some degree of knowledge sharing to find out what are the indigenous knowledge that they can bring on board. And then once you get their buy-in, they will take ownership. And once they take ownership, you have created sustainability.
But sometimes initiating that project for the community might be a problem, because to even come into the community sometimes, to even begin to want to have a conversation about a certain project, you get that wall. Why is that so?
No, you won't get that wall. It depends on how you enter. Some of us get into a community with a preconceived knowledge about the community. What you do when you go into a community, you purge yourself of everything you thought about the community. You come to a state of epoch. So you get into the community pure, That is when they see your body language. They will receive you. And then first of all, you need to apply appreciative intelligence to say, okay, now I haven't come to bring about any changes. I want to leverage on your strengths. Then collectively we can design an intervention that will work for you. So when you come in that way, they'll receive you, and then you can do it together.
Okay. Talking about doing it together, Dr. Noja, when I did the intro, I talked about the loss of the dinosaurs in 60 million years ago. But we have other animals that are being lost. We have some animals that are peculiar to certain parts of Nigeria. You don't find them anywhere else in the world.
Absolutely.
And some of them are almost gone. Now, the theme of the Earth Day this year is protecting the species. But the people, again, back to the people that live around some of these species, feed off them. Whether they are rearing them for business or just feed off them. How would they buy into this idea of protecting this species?
Yes, they will, as long as the right approach is adopted.
Let's talk about the approach.
Yeah, because as Dr. Bolo was pointing out, what we normally do, we come with this elitist point of view and say, oh, we've already designed a solution to this community's problem and come and impose it on them. That's a very wrong approach. You have to discuss with the community. As Riley pointed out, from experience, the communities know if you are coming with this high-handedness to come and push down something in their throat. They will start looking at you, okay, you've gone to collect money from either international donors or from the government, and you're just trying to come and implement something that just shows that you've done what you ought to do. But when you come with the mindset of trying to talk with them, they know the importance, they are convinced. Let's have a dialogue.
Yeah.
So with their local knowledge, you improve on their local knowledge, and you are able to work with them. Now, gone are those days where we normally do exclusive conservation, where you don't touch these things, to inclusive in the sense that let's use it sustainably. Now you show them that these things are going extinct. How are we going to use it in such a way that tomorrow you can have it? You chop today, you chop tomorrow. So you don't want to chop today and finish everything. How do you want it to continue? And especially, you look at areas where these things are tied to their culture and whip out that cultural sentiment. You want your culture to continue. So, but if this species ends, sometimes some of these communities, some of these species are their totems. Some of these species are their symbols. So you need to whip up that sentiment. And then together they will be able to protect them. And for those who hunt them, sustainably, because there are hunters. In one of my interventions, so this was in Liberia, but also in Nigeria, we also had some of these hunters association. They have strict code of conduct. But you have quacks that have infiltrated their ranks. Hunters usually will not hunt down a nursing mother, will not hunt down a young. They look out for the bulls, the ones that are the ones adults. That are adults. But you find out that sometimes, in fact, I learned about a slogan in Liberia. They said, "No baby on target." That is, whatever they see, they kill. We shouldn't be. So you see, by the time you bring up that code of conduct and the community abides by it, you find out that they leave the reproductive generation to be able to reproduce continually while they hunt the ones that they can harvest. So with that, there's this sustainable harvesting. So you are able to protect your species while not tampering with their lifestyle of hunting this, but you do it sustainably. But with the general decadence of morals, general decadence of values, it also has its impact on protecting our species.
Talking about protecting the species here, the role of government in all of this. Now that was people, those living around owning them. How about the role of government? We do have
the endangered
different.
species.
We have agencies of government that are supposed to be protecting all this. So animals like this used to be in Nigeria. Hold on. Okay. Species like this, bees, coral reefs, and the organisms that live around there. Elephants.
Yes, we still have some.
We still have some. Not as much as we
about that.
Giraffes.
Yeah, giraffes is extirpated. That is, it has gone locally extinct in Nigeria.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so we don't have giraffe in the wild in Nigeria again. They used to be in the northeast, but we don't have any again. Niger and Chad boast more of a giraffe than Nigeria.
Some species of insects.
Yes.
Whales.
Whales.
And they're quite a number.
Yeah, so let me start from talking about the protect our species. We need to understand, just like we're talking about the sea turtles, that we don't live alone in this world. These species are put in place by nature to help balance us. You talked about bees. Yeah, it's been shown that some species have gone extinct. But what we don't realize is that without bees, bees and insects generally, we may not be able to eat. Because they are the ones that pollinate. Yes. In fact, it's been shown that they pollinate over 90% of our crops. So without them, then that means we are going hungry. And they are known as the flagship species because they also pollinate other nuts and berries and other things that other animals feed on as well. So you can see that other animals' survivability also depend on them. And you talk about elephants. Luckily, we still have some in the wild. We have the savannah ones in Yankari Game Reserve and some in Kainji. We also have some in the north. We have some forest elephant in the southwest, as in Okumu National Park as well, and other parts just dotted population, but they're not as much as they are. We manage a forest reserve in the southwest where we have some of the remnants of forest elephants still there, somewhere in Ogun State.
Do we still have in Cross River?
Yeah, we still have some in Cross River as well. So we have some forest elephants dotted in those places. So we're trying as much as we can to protect, to galvanize effort to protect these species. We have species. We have whales as well. Not many Nigerians know that we have whales in Nigeria, but because they are usually in the ocean.
What kind of whales do we have?
Most times we have the humpback. Yes, they come around, and sometimes you find them crashing. They are the ones that what we call crash land. When they navigate wrongly and then they crash on our beaches. You find there was the one that crashed
that was beached a few years ago.
Beach, in Alpha Beach, and the one in Ibeno Beach in Akwa Ibom. And what happens is that in other climes you see that they are even hiring cranes to push them back. But here we come out with our matches. Meat don't come. You know, yeah. So these are some of the things we have, and then we have other insects as well that help us. You know, the nature has created this balance. That we should, when we see species,
not tamper with
when we see species, we should appreciate them. In fact, when I was thinking about this program, I said I was going to say something that when people think that they don't have snakes in their houses, they're just deceiving themselves. If they don't have rodents in their house, if you don't have rodents running around in your house, then you should know that you have a snake somewhere that is feeding on them. The fact that you don't see them does not mean that they are not there.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. It should be. But we are not their natural prey.
Yes.
And that is why they don't waste their venom on us. Now, coming to talk about the government agencies, we have these laws. We have the laws, but these are laws don't bite. We have the Endangered Species Act. But the enforcement of these laws are the problem. You find even sometimes, I must say that some of the law enforcement agents don't even know that these laws exist. So it's a major problem. And we are working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to be able to do. We're doing something on that, and eventually we will. It's something that we've already started the inception meeting. We'll be able to come out with our plan and the program. We'll roll it out eventually during the year.
Let me just take you back a bit. Your forestation project. We saw a few, albeit half-hearted, attempts at growing trees campaigns here and there. How effective have those been, and how successful has your campaign been?
Our campaign, it's just about we're creating awareness and galvanizing effort towards that. Because we recognize that we can't do it alone. What we're trying to do is to galvanize efforts. We're talking to some state governments who are serious, including the Lagos state government.
Are they planting trees?
Well, some of them are planting political trees, I must state here.
Political trees?
Yes, because they will come and then make a very loud noise about, oh, they planted the tree. You go back, that same tree that was planted may not be alive. So we want to a situation whereby we will follow the trees. When you tell us that you are planting trees, we are going to follow because we want to see that this thing is done. We want a concerted effort. And luckily, the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Environment, is actually serious about that. And that was why the Forestry Trust Fund was recently inaugurated. And they've also talked about the Forest Brigade. They're going to start working closely with the National Park which I must give kudos to the head of the national park and the work they are doing. We have some dynamic team there that are trying to see what they can do in that. So it's coming up, and then we as NCF, we're also trying to see how we can galvanize this effort and ensure that this is done. It's been done in other places, so we can also replicate it in Nigeria. Okay. And also leveraging on our international partners because of the experiences they've had in other places. So that effort is still being galvanized, but eventually, hopefully, we're hoping that us as NCF, sometime in August, we're hoping to launch our own initiative and see how we can push that agenda forward.
You're a strategist. And all of these things is talked about, protecting the species, planting the trees, would require,
Yes.
Could he?
Require money, yes.
And besides getting the people to buy in, the funding part of it.
Yes. The funding part of it has been made very clear in the Paris Agreement. The climate change action with the Paris Agreement incentivized action for sustainable development. So two things the Paris Agreement did. It mapped climate change action to sustainable development. Then it put in money there as an incentive for climate change sustainable projects. So now there's a plan for $100 billion a year for climate change. If you look at the forestation projects, Agric is the #1 in our strategy, because AFOLU, agric, forestry, and other land use is the highest polluter. So we are also aware of the desert encroachment. We are aware of what is happening in Lake Chad. So if we put in money in this, but the problem I have with this, which we need to resolve, we've done a couple of projects where trees were planted, a whole lot of trees were planted. The federal government is doing well. When you go back for assessment, they tell you that the cattle have eaten up all the trees. So that is a big gap we need to fill. We haven't been able to do that because you put in all the effort. How do you protect them? Do you develop perimeter fencing? Even when you get the indigents to be involved in it, they themselves are running for their lives. Right. So how do they protect that? So back to your question, there's money in that. Yes, and we need to know how to assess the money. That's where the awareness comes in again. Okay. So our job is to teach how to assess the funds.
All right. Thank you very much. We've been talking about the Earth Day 2019 and indeed the environment. We had Dr. Paul Abolo, environmental strategist, and Dr. Joseph Onoja, technical director of the Nigeria Conservation Foundation. Thank you, gentlemen. And we wish you well in your efforts. Sunrise will be back in a moment for the home stretch. Please join us.